So we're
Fun one
talking
today.
Beyond Meat, which I know is something Kevin eats a lot of, right, Kevin?
That'd be no.
Okay, but eat it or not, it's a fantastic growth story. So far we've
Yes.
seen 250% sales growth, and we've seen the gross profit has grown 400% to nearly 11 million. So Landon, this is obviously a really interesting growth story. What are you seeing with your data?
Yeah, so normally when we look at a company on this show, we like to talk about people, going to the stores of that company or spending money on that product specifically. But I'd like to kind of zoom out a little bit and look at some trends that are moving beyond meat. And so the first one that we look at is when people are talking about a desire to increase the amount of protein that they're eating. And if you look at this, no one was talking about this several years ago. Until just this year, people are really starting to pick up their desire to eat more protein, which is really a big movement that we're seeing inside the food industry as a whole. Another one that we're looking at is how people are taking on their diet. So we look at a lot of different ways of dieting. So for example, people are looking to move into veganism. They're looking to do hormone-free. This is all on this chart. You're seeing year-over-year changes, and some of the biggest ones are plant-based, low-carb, and keto, which keto and low-carb are very similar, obviously. But again, this is just a general trend where people are looking to get healthier, increase their protein, and decrease their carbs. And so finally, the last one that I want to talk about is this plant-based protein, which is something that, again, you really didn't hear about several years ago, but all of a sudden, it's taking off like a rocket ship. It's exponential growth at this point. So, you look at the chart, 2016, nobody was talking about plant-based protein, but all of a sudden, it's moving up extremely high. And of course, all of these kind of things are going to benefit a company like Beyond Meat.
I guess this is a bad week to open my bread and pasta factory, that I was thinking about. I guess, but you're right. I mean, we joke about it, but there is a move away from carbs and towards protein. I just don't know if Beyond Meat, here's the question that everyone wants to know. Is this real, Landon, or is this a fad? Is this a fad that, just like a Roman candle, it's going to burn out eventually and people are going to come back to earth? Or is this really a game changer? What is your data giving you any indication of that?
Yeah, so that's why I'm bringing up this data. So I know people that trade this stock think it's a fad. Short sellers are getting killed thinking that. And of course, what we're doing is we're saying, is this just about the company, or is this a larger movement? And the answer is it's a larger movement, and it's been underway for over a year now, and it's picking up steam. So obviously we can't predict the future, but right now this is real, absolutely.
It's real, and people really like it on social media. I thought I'd see more, honestly, negative tweets, as I know that we discussed beforehand how much people actually eat this and talk about.
Has anyone here had one?
Yes,
I have had one.
I have.
You've both had one. I have not had one. Landon, have you had a Beyond Meat?
Not yet, but Megan has in our office, and she loves them.
There you go. 3 out of 5. 2 old guys are not trying it. I mean, well, sorry, Landon, I didn't mean to lump you in with the old guy.
Old guy.
Old guy.
No, I mean, to say you love it is a bold statement.
I would agree with that.
It seems kind of like all of your trends are pointing in the same direction,
word.
Landon. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I would say that, Jenny. Our trends are pointing in the same direction. And like I said, of course, we're going to track when people are talking about spending money with specific companies, but we also look for larger trends across the market. And oftentimes those trends sort of overlap and build on each other. So instead of a bunch of small trends, they combine into what you might call a mega trend. So it's important that when you look at these mega trends, spotting them is very important because they can have huge impacts on individual companies. They produce massive winners like we're seeing here in Beyond Meat, and they can also add significant headwinds to other companies. So being able to identify the winners and the losers from megatrends is incredibly valuable. And we're looking at Beyond Meat here. Again, this looks a lot like those other charts. You've got increasing protein consumption. You've got keto, low carb, vegan, all on the rise. You've got plant-based protein on the rise. All of these combine into one huge trend that Beyond Meat is taking advantage of. So they're in the right place at the right time. Purchase intent is at all-time highs. And I feel bad for short sellers right now. I know that eventually this thing becomes overpriced. I don't know where that is, but right now the data supports a continued run in Beyond Meat.
Landon, I have no position in this stock. I don't trade it, but I look at a negative 364 PE and say, that seems a little chunky for me to get it negative 360. That is rough. Not a small number.
Everybody's waiting. everybody's waiting for the big deal, right? They get them integrated with McDonald's or whoever it may be. But I think the bottom line is that when you actually go talk to people who've had this, it's not disgusting like people assumed it would be. It looks and tastes a lot like a burger. And for whatever reason, people are all about all these trends that I talked about: more protein, vegan, hormone-free, plant-based, all that kind of stuff is what they're after. And so it's just kind of right place, right time for Beyond Meat.
But I just have to say, it's not healthier than not eating meat.
Now,
so
see,
if
there's
you're
the key.
I mean, that's some of the noise I saw on social media today.
So what is the attraction? It's just that it's not meat?
Right.
I mean,
so
it's plant-based?
If you're vegetarian, it's a really good substitute. But
there you go.
Our first tweet is from Ryan, who says, "Wish I had jumped on this Beyond train right when it IPO'd. The demand for plant protein is insane, and I love it." So, I mean, is this kind of just the IPO fever? Because we talk about IPOs and how there's all this FOMO, right?
Well, I mean, that's the question. Is this the next, Bitcoin craze? Is this the next cannabis craze? Is this the next, whatever, .com craze? Right now, I think you can make an argument that maybe it is, but it certainly hasn't broke yet. And Landon points that out with, if you're short this stock, it hasn't been a comfortable ride, to say the least, as we've basically gone straight up and it's been sharply higher.
This makes even Tom White talk about Beyond Meat, who was a hater from the beginning.
If you are trading this stock from the short side, I would imagine that the risk department has you on speed dial. And in terms of, come on. I mean, that looks like a painful trade. Look at the graph. The chart on this is.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it's up another 4% again today. Of course, we're going to hear earnings Monday after the close, but. Looking at it across social media, I think the next one you have gives us a little bit of light on this, about how far it has came.
Yeah, so I did learn some interesting facts on social media today. So our next tweet is from Charlie Bialo, who says, "With a market cap of $11.7 billion, Beyond Meat is now worth more than the market value of Shake Shack, Wendy's, Jack in the Box, Red Robin, Habit Burger, and Good Times combined."
Combined!
And I didn't fact check this, but if this is true, this is fascinating, right?
Yeah, and this is where the conversation comes in, is the valuation the issue here more so than the product and the adoption. But Landon, I know we've talked to Andy about some of these newer companies. We talked about Chewy not so long ago, and one of the things that he said was, we like to, stay on the sidelines, or at least you guys LikeFolio like to stay on the sidelines for about a year on these new stocks, collect the data before you really jump in and make a call. But I can't argue with the numbers that you're giving me in terms of the growth.
Right, and so just a little information on that. So generally speaking, we do like to wait about a year or so before putting out a commentary on an IPO. But with Beyond Meat, we put out a report last month, actually, when the stock was under $100, citing all these kind of charts that I showed you today about how, protein's going up, plant-based, all that kind of stuff, because Beyond Meat was just so in the headlines and everybody wanted to short it. And so we wanted to dive in and tell our smarter clients, our hedge fund clients, is this real or is this not real? And the answer came back resounding, this is real. Now, again, that was when the stock was under $100. Now we're closing in on 2.5 times that. So I'm not sure whether the valuation's right. Jenny, you bring up some great points. I haven't checked that either, but if that's true, that's insane. And eventually it's just too much. So that's up to the trader to figure out. But I can tell you that it's definitely not a fad when it comes to plant-based protein.
I will actually take, this is going to shock you, Jenny, but I will actually take the other side of this argument with your second tweet and say this. Red Robin, which is one of the names, they can never sell Jack in the Box, right? Jack in the Box will never sell Red Robin.
Right. But
all these names listed in this tweet can sell Beyond Meat.
Right.
That's maybe why it's more important, bigger than all of them, because theoretically all these companies could sell this product where they won't sell each other's product.
And look at Dunkin' this week.
Right.
That was not bad news for the stock at all.
So I mean, I think that's why that valuation. I take the other side of that argument because Beyond Meat could be a customer of all these places.
Landon, last thing before we let you go here, we know it's Friday and you got some stuff going on for the weekend, but how much does this earnings announcement matter Monday, or is this so much more about the guidance and the growth story going forward?
I think it definitely matters. Of course, earnings always matter, but man, you are gambling if you're playing this one. I think that the market maker move is around 20%. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes over that. Yeah, if you're trading this on either side, you better be risk defined and be really smart about it. It's definitely a longer term play. It's all about when they get a huge deal with a company like Kevin's talking about and a fast food company or whoever it may be. So. I'm on the sidelines, but I'm going to be watching very intently. I can't wait to see what happens with earnings, but we do know, again, it's all about the trends, and the trends are all moving together for Beyond Meat.